And to your surprise, I love the title of his lecture. I want to die before cinema does. For all of us, it's true. Thank you very much. Please
Thank you very much, Gautam. You see, Gautam said Balki needs no introduction. And it's indeed true because a lot of you are fans of his and have come here specifically to listen to him because you're fans of his and you would like to listen to what he's saying. But nevertheless, let me say that Balki is a kind of abbreviation for R. Balakrishnan, and it has always kind of intrigued me why in these kind of South Indian names only the Krishna at the end gets abbreviated to Ki. Because Ramakrishnan becomes Ramki, Balakrishnan becomes Balki. Now, having left a kind of birth print in Bangalore, he then went on to Mumbai to leave very, very indelible, prominent footprints, I would even dare to say pug marks, in the field of advertising and in the field of cinema. And I'm sure all of you have seen his films. How many of you have seen Chini Kam? Can you see the hands? Several times. Yeah, it is a film that inspired me not only to reduce my chini intake, but give it up altogether in coffee and tea. You see, so since then I have not been taking chini with my coffee and tea. And of course, he gave us more films like Pa, Ki and Ka, Padman, etc. And just like in his advertising world and as a copywriter would do, the title of his lecture, like his films, is a little hatke. Yeah? His films are a little hatke from the mainstream, and his title, which he told us what he wants to speak about, is I Want to Die Before Cinema Does. Sounds more like a last wish or part of a will written at some point of time, but very interesting nevertheless, because if you have that kind of passion for cinema only would you make a statement like this, right? So let's listen to Balki for the next, I don't know for how long, half an hour, 45 minutes, or as long as you want to talk, and you would be leaving the audience with a feeling of Ye Dil Mange More. So please do hold them spellbound with whatever you have to say. Then we will have a little chat about what you have talked. Is that okay with you? Right. The microphone is all yours.
Thank you very much. It's a tremendous honor to be here, to be at the Kolkata Film Festival and at this prestigious lecture. In fact, any lecture which has got the title of Ray, I think it's fabulous. We're just standing on the same podium with the name of that lecture on around you. So I just wanted to chat about, to share my thoughts about something that's troubling all of us. That's kind of it's been in my mind the last 3-4 years. It's really screwed my mind. And I started off, and it hit me very strangely. As you grow a little older and you kind of, this year when I turned 60, normally people kind of think, oh, you're growing old, your neck is paining and back is paining and this is paining. But I was actually more worried about, you start thinking of your mortality at certain points in your life, but it has still not struck me because I'm more worried about the mortality of something else than myself right now, which is actually cinema. Because I don't think there's a purpose for me to live without cinema, because we dreamt, all of us, many of us dreamt and said that this is what we want to do in life. We want to make films, we want to watch films, we want to kind of do things like that. But when cinema itself is struggling to figure out how to live, then it's very funny when your dream is struggling. It's okay to struggle. we've all struggled in our lives about making films, how to make films, how to get our scripts through, how to kind of get the money for our films. But we've never faced a situation where our dreams are in danger, where the dream itself is in danger. So and I've been thinking a lot about it. Sometimes it's depressing, sometimes it's really energizing, because there's never been a problem like that. We've always tackled about how to make better films or good films, how to push this one right, how's our market, how to improve our audience, how to educate our audience. All kinds of stuff we've spoken about, we've interacted with this. I can't imagine, I think Ray was very, very lucky that he'd never had to think of this, because that was the dream, and it was all about cinema and its purity. And those are the times we just believed that cinema was eternal. It would never kind of go. But today, it's pretty, I don't know whether it's depressing or what, but it's pretty clear that things are happening out there which may not be in our control anymore. And one of the few things, and this is an article I read somewhere, what's the biggest competition for cinema? What is it? Obviously, it is obviously what you call the reels, the kind of, the phone is your biggest kind of thing. What they call distraction is possibly the biggest kind of thing for cinema. It's quite apparent. Lots of articles would have been written about how people are distracted, just 15 seconds and everything else. And distraction has a very simple kind of a thing. It kind of ups your dopamine content, and dopamine is a kind of it is addictive. So you want more stimulus, and you go back again, flip, distract, go back again. It's like an addiction. So actually, addiction of a very different kind is your biggest competition for what we all kind of look up to. And it's not just that, it's just that today, because your mediums have changed, because there is so much of content, all of us know that we've got a surplus of content, we don't even know. There's a surplus of content, but there's not a surplus of good content. It's very difficult to find something great to watch in any of those million kind of things that are hitting you every day. But even then, there is so much. So, again, another very big challenge of all creative people and all filmmakers, both directors, producers, writers, is how do you tell people that you've made a film? It's damn difficult to make people even aware you've kind of done a film, because there's so much of information coming at them. So forget making a film. I always tell people today, and it's true of advertising too, and it's true of film, how are you going to even communicate? Yes, if you have huge marketing budgets, or if people are waiting for something like Pushpa 2, something like that, then you can imagine everybody is waiting for something. That's very, very rare. There aren't many events like that which are happening there. Most of our films, you have to reach people. You have to tell people that there's something like this here. It's not people are rejecting anything. People don't know. A lot of films, you'll be very surprised. You may have seen it because you're film lovers, a bunch of people who are listening to a lecture of this sort. But a lot of people out there who are actually film lovers don't even know a film is coming. That's one of those things. Because the kind of scenario out there, in there, what we have done with cinema. I'll tell you what we've done in cinema. In this rush, I think there is this subconscious feeling in most kind of filmmakers that most in the industry overall, that cinema is in danger. It's like almost like let's run. It's almost like survival of the fittest. Like let's make the bucks really fast. Let's kind of do everything really fast. And in the process, what's happened is everything has been corrupted. Every damn stuff, from the media to the publicity to the personnel, everything is actually out there. Everything has been bartered. Everything has been picked up. Everything has kind of been, who's going to pump up the maximum money? Who's going to pay the maximum people to kind of write about your film? Who's going to, today media is not about just putting an ad out in somewhere else or kind of having a poster of yours kind of put for free in many places. Everything you're going to pay for. And everybody's kind of latching onto it because this money may not be coming very, very soon. So everybody's kind of make the buck as fast as possible. A lot of people have their own private media today, and they're called influencers or the trade. They all have their private media channel, which is their account, which is their Twitter, Instagram, whatever stuff that they use on, that's their account. So they are legitimately become media channels. Remember, so they're all behaving like media used to behave. A newspaper charges me for an ad. Why shouldn't I charge you to put a post of a film? So today, if I want somebody to talk about my film, and the industry people, I've got to say, okay, he's got a rate card and saying, this is what I charge for a kind of a post. So while the footfalls in theaters are decreasing, the money to kind of even make a film be heard is a lot more. So we're facing a lot of issues. And the kind of diseases that are hitting cinema are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a hell of a lot. And then what's happening? It's also that, another simple thing. What has happened today is you wouldn't believe it, but a lot of actors and stars, the opportunities that are there, people are kind of there's a lot more money, the people are making a lot more money simply because just a known face somewhere guarantees some viewing. Somebody says, oh, I recognize this person, I know this actor, I want to watch this particular film. It's become, anything as desperate as you can. Okay, I don't mind paying this person double as long as this person is there in the film, so it becomes a known face to kind of thing. It becomes a brand for the particular film or the content. So just look at how much you're weighing something that's already fighting with distraction of the audience with all this. And then, to me, actually the biggest danger of cinema are some of the films that actually do well. Is actually the biggest danger of cinema. I'm not talking about good cinema, bad cinema. I'm just talking of cinema. I'm talking about some of the hits, if you see this in the last couple of years, some of the real big blockbusters. I'm not talking of, I think Bahubali 2 was the last fantastic blockbuster which all of us enjoyed and kind of jumped in the theaters like children and kind of whistled. After that, if you see all these mega blockbusters, they are really, most of them, and I don't even think one which is not, but most of them I can say, there would be one or two which may be better, but most of them are really garbage. And they have been, and if people try and make that a science, people try and make garbage a science and say, no, this is what the audience want. Rubbish, the audience wants that. If you give them a slightly more interesting film, the audience is not going to cry. The audience is going to clap louder. They've already come in by the marketing hype and the amount of pumping in that's happening to bring those people into the theater, and then they go out okay, having watched a film, but they don't go out with no love for cinema. They're not eager to watch another film. They are actually tired. And sometimes we as human beings are very normal people, all of us. We always wait, hey, so many people, there's so much hava, it's making so much money, it must be good, no? Somewhere, maybe I was tired, maybe it was like this, maybe it was this. You tell yourself a lot of things to not outright, most people are not contrarians in the world. They don't go against mass, a sentiment which is going. Sentiment is also propagated, it's not the real sentiment, it's a propagated sentiment. Now, if you don't go against that stuff, you end up watching a film and the film making money, but you not really an audience ready and waiting and eager to go for the next film that's coming. Good cinema makes you actually wait for the next film to kind of come. When Bahubali came, we all went, it's the biggest grosser. It actually upped the interest in cinema. Yeah, I want to say, it's a blockbuster, it's an entertainer, it's not one of those meaningful artistic kind of films. It is a blockbuster, I'm still talking of those things. But we went to kind of, the whole public and the masses ran to kind of theaters again. And ran to theaters is just like almost, you feel like food when it comes back. Eat some good, I feel like eating this food. You start falling in love with that food all over again if you've kind of been distracted with that. So that's how it happens. So if people tell us today that, hey, these films are doing damn well, why is it not, why are we saying cinema is dying? No, these films are not doing some damn well. There are 4 or 5 of them that's making a lot of money, but then they're not making a lot of sense in terms of bringing people to the theaters. I think that is the purpose of cinema. We all talk of climate change. We talk of every business today in the country, whether you make soaps, whether you make anything else, every company, CEO and everything is responsible for climate change. You have to be sustainable. Your processes have to be damn good. Why is cinema, any different? Isn't cinema also responsible for the climate of cinema kind of being preserved? Why do we define climate change as using wood or recycled wood in our sets? That's all we define as climate change. Our climate is cinema, and our cinema is not improving our climate. Climate is cinema. So cinema is suffocating. So today, if you actually see the interest in people to go to cinema, you can actually decide. Say, for example, Pushpa has come yesterday. You may have heard it's made 200 crores or some 250 crores. All kinds of figures floated around, but it's the biggest blockbuster. Now, am I waiting? What's coming? Pushpa has kind of rejuvenated my interest in cinema. Can I kind of see the next kind of film? I'm not even talking of the content and the and what it is, whether it's regressive, progressive, all that stuff. I'm not getting into that argument. I'm just talking of excitement of cinema, the magic of cinema. Cinema is magic in some way. It's got to kind of raise films had magic in a different way. Bahubali had magic in different ways. A lot of other films have magic. Bachchan had magic in very different ways, but they're all magic. It makes me want to taste that again. So that is the addiction that actually drove cinema. Addiction for cinema is what drives cinema. Today, some other addiction, you're fighting with some other addiction out here of people, of all of us. So is our cinema addictive enough for it to kind of fight this? Obviously no. It is not going to happen. It is not happening. We are not looking forward. Most of us don't even know what's the film that's been released this Friday. We're checking out, let's Google, figure out this. It's such a low level of interest. And if you ask people, they'll generalize and say, oh, there's so much available and think, who's going to go to the theaters? Who's rubbish? It's nothing. We love to go to the theaters. People actually flock to the theaters, and I feel cinema itself, the people in cinema itself are killing cinema by falsifying hopes, by kind of lying about things. When it's not good, it's just pumped to the sky. When it's kind of bad, when it's kind of really good, it's kind of not really pushed forward. It's just money talking. It's desperate to make money. It's almost like the last days of a very rich man. Let me just squeeze as much as I can from this particular, the relatives actually figuring out, saying, how do we squeeze the maximum from this particular person, man or woman? So it is in that stage. And above all, after all this, I keep saying we are 4-5 years, even with all this, we have AI coming in, okay, where you're going to be almost making cinema. Cinema is a process where people look at a screen and they look like this. They have to be in awe. That's cinema. You don't look down on cinema. We look down at a phone like this. Okay, we look up at cinema. Cinema has to have that awe-inspiring things. But when people know, today we're all kind of, fooling ourselves, saying that AI is going to be a tool. Will filmmakers be able to adapt to this tool? Filmmakers will have no time to adapt to this tool. This tool will adapt to figuring out how to kind of use human beings. Because most of the things that we're doing in cinema can be very easily done. In fact, it can be easily done even today, and it's not being out in the public domain simply because it's being regulated. People are scared, and the slowness of the output, the slowness of the the release of the technology is what's stopping you. So tomorrow, if you're going to see, you say wow to Bahubali today. What effort, 3-4 years. But the public knows, public's going to figure out, oh, this can all be done in AI. And as AI becomes more and more, these kind of films will become like, everyday affairs. They're very easy to do. The awe of that stuff will go in 5 days. It's same awe when we had a cell phone the first time, and today we just take it we don't even look at it. We look at it so often that we forget it is. It's something great. So we take it for granted. Those kind of movies will be taken for granted. It's coming. Really, 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 really soon it's coming. So we are in this thing where I really believe, I really hope and wish something miraculous happens to an industry that actually knows the facts, that knows what is coming and chooses to not analyze and be prepared for it. It's one of those, like if you see those Bill Gates the Bill Gates series on Netflix, there's James Cameron and Bill Gates talking. Bill Gates is scared. If Bill Gates is scared, we must be stupid not to be scared. What are we going to do? How are we going to make cinema? They don't need us to make cinema anymore. People say writers can't be replaced, poets can't be replaced. Wait, it's just the next app. It's just the next evolution. It's coming. It's all coming. It's you can just escape. So I'm just saying that yes, there may be some things which sometimes today what you say when you go to a sari shop and say this is a handmade sari and this is a premium for it. You know, you tend to say, oh, something special. Most saris were handmade always before then it became mechanized. Forget that, it's handmade. And there's a sari which is machine made. And tomorrow we may have to categorize cinema like that, you know, man-made cinema, machine-made cinema. We may have regulations with AI cinema, man-made cinema, nothing's man. You know, we'll have to have all kinds of things like that. But can we, in the process, in the meanwhile, kind of really figure out? See, we're all swimming in the dark and saying, let's make the film. Hope Netflix greenlights it. Hope Amazon greenlights it. Hope somebody buys it. Some producer comes out there. Hope it gets a theatrical release. We are on that desperation. But we forget that I think sometimes today, even as filmmakers, we need to stop and say, cinema is no longer a right. You don't have the right to make cinema regardless of what you have to say. I think we all really, one of the duties of filmmakers, first of all, is to figure out whether that story really deserves to be made into cinema. Is it going to really fight the distraction? Is it going to be more exciting than every reel that people see? Is it going to be more entertaining? Is it going to be more evocative? It's going to be showing you some emotion or tap into some part of you as a human that has not been tapped into something else there. It can't be generalized saying I'm doing a feel-good film. It can't be generalized as saying that I'm doing a very deep social angst film. You can't do those kind of things because it's money. Finally, it's business. Finally, somebody's got to put money into you. Otherwise, nobody's going to, be able to make film. Filmmaking is very, very expensive. So therefore, there is a responsibility of filmmakers also to be aware of the situation out here, what is going on in the market, truly figure out how to attack it. This marketing myth is another thing that's a disease created by the industry. By the industry that's not even aware that its product is dying, which is cinema. So it's just propagating that myth. So there is a lot of things that industry bodies and things we'll have to address to kind of see how we can safeguard our livelihood as much as we can. Our livelihood means our dream, our magic, as long as we can. Forget livelihood. It's the dream, it's a hope, it's our purpose for life. And that shatters tomorrow. By God, I think you'll need one therapist for every 2 people in this country. You need so many therapists. It's not going to be easy. So it is a tough time, it's coming. We are living in La La Land. We are just, appreciating all kinds of cinema, doing that. It's lovely to be that way. At the same time, also be aware of really how we're destroying ourselves. For example, I always tell a lot of stars who are actually so paranoid today about the kind of scripts that's going to reach the maximum number of people. I said, what are the kind of scripts that are going to reach the maximum number of people? How do you know? How do you know what reaches anybody? How do you know everybody will like? It's almost like you remove anything that's contrarian, you remove everything that's kind of very interesting or something, and make up the sound level, the decibel level so much that you don't know anything, but you just come and have a party in the theater and kind of go. It's not cinema, it's a party place. You go there. So stars are in that zone of saying, oh, don't give me these these kind of intellectual. They won't use the word intellectual because that's a bad word these days. It's always, don't give me those meaningful films. Just hide the meaning so that nobody sees the meaning. How do you hide the meaning so that nobody sees the meaning? That's part of the craft that you kind of are doing. So the kind of sterile. So the 70s had better. Manmohan Desai made the same stuff with so much pizzazz and so much entertainment. Okay, we're not able to even write that today. We're not able to make an film. Of course, you don't have to be that long. You can be much shorter. We can cut out a lot of crap. But look at the kind of suspension of disbelief that we all lived with and enjoyed it. Okay, where are the actors who are doing that? Right? When we talk to actors, it's all about just safeguarding it. I always tell them, just imagine you come in. When you come in, means half the country is going to come in to watch your film. So in that process, even if you do, I don't want you to do a Satyajit Ray film ever. I'm not going to say come, because they all believe Satyajit Ray is a great filmmaker, but they are in a very different world from the Rays of the world, because that's very artistic and that's very beautiful, and that Ray is just emotion. that's not, you can't discuss that with them. You just have to say, okay, I understand, we're not going to make meaningful cinema, but just do that. I said, why don't you try your hand? You come and do this stuff. Suddenly the audience's taste of cinema is changing because you're introducing it to them. They're watching it anyway. I'm not saying be so, lateral that nobody gets it. Common, simple things with little upgradation. Not the same, we create a spaceship and think our film is equal to kind of Hollywood. We create one action sequence borrowed from some 17 films and think we've kind of mastered action. We do some VFX which is there and say we are kind of, on par with this. This is so stupid to do that, because people are watching everything today. And here are chances that the icons of our industry have to kind of pull people into theaters with little more, things that have not been seen before in the form that has been seen before. If form is what you're scared of, don't change the form. Change the meat in the form. You can do little things out there. So I'm saying we're not even doing that. Sometimes we're actually, I was talking to a very big actor the other day, and it was very sad talk about how we've regressed in times. 20 years back, 30 years back, we used to kind of make such films. There was a Lagan, there was a Satya, there was a this thing, Rangila. This is Dilwale, there's a Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. Romance, where is romance in our cinema? Forget, I'm not even talking about addressing any social issue in cinema. I don't even want to get there. I'm just talking of simple things that used to make our heart go duck, duck, duck. Our kind of, our testosterone kind, come on, bash them up, come on, like have a good laugh in the theater. Very rare in this thing. Those are all the magic of cinema. And we were pontificating and talking of all that stuff. And then we were coming to the film, coming to discuss the film. So, what is the conflict point between the villain and the hero? So, what conflict point? What's the story first? Let's talk about. No, there's a hero, there's a villain, okay, there's a conflict point, there's a resolution. The templates are very clear. The thought process is one thing, the wish list is one thing, and they have learned from the success of bad films to be a certain bad way. It's very funny. That's why I keep saying the success of the big films today, unlike the success of the big films in the past. Today, Sholay is a classic. Today, we are still kind of discussing Sholay, talking of Sholay. Amar Akbar Anthony celebrated. Diwar is a cult kind of classic. They were the blockbusters of before, right? We were all kind of overjoyed with that kind of thing. Today, what are the successes? Just look at I don't even want to mention because of the Ray lecture, the kind of films that there are, which is there. Would you even discuss it? Would you even have a discussion of it? I would feel very, very sad if we did have a discussion, very depressing discussion on that. So I was just feeling that in my thing of, it feels nice, every ill person feels well when you see a more terminally ill patient on the bed. So I go to the hospital with a cough, okay, and I see a patient who's on the 4th stage. He or she is going to pass away. He's got 5 weeks to live or 10 weeks to live. Suddenly the cough goes. And I feel already well. And that's how I feel looking at cinema. And I feel, no. I don't have to worry about my health. I don't give a damn. I'm not going to give up smoking. I mean, forget it. Yeah, I'd like to die before cinema. I don't want to live without smoking. I don't want to look after my lungs. I don't want to kind of look after this stuff. What am I going to do not smoking? Look at the wall. Nothing. So thoughts like this in all creative people and all the industry, what's going on, it's there. I'm saying you just touch people, it's waiting to blow. And I really feel as bodies, as people, if we can contribute to things and if we can find ways to kind of push our films in ways that have not been seen before, because this kind of money, a lot of filmmakers will not be able to afford to even make people hear about their film. The other day I saw a film by Shonali Bose. It was a documentary. I didn't even know it was a documentary. I had gone to the theater. It's called Fly on the Wall. I want you to watch it because she's struggling today to get people to hear about her film. Forget the fact, and don't ever be mistaken that if it goes to a festival, it's a good film. or if some damn award it gets, it's a good film. No, it's not. A lot of festival people are in the same racket as the commercial, this is as the commercial magnates of the world. It's damn tough. The kind of crap that goes into a festival. Sometimes I go to Toronto today, I go to other places today, if I go to Venice today, they'll be talking of that one film out there. You just watch as a viewer. If you're saying, I want to, have this holiday in a film festival, you'll come out really, really depressed because a lot of crap is going on. How they select those films, I don't know. So here is this film called Fly on the Wall. This is about a person who Sonali Bose is a filmmaker, and she had a friend called Chika who was a kind of a very famous electrical engineer in the US. He has lit up ships and things like that. He left all that stuff, went to do deep sea diving somewhere in Bali, whatever, and he was absolutely kind of what do you say? But a purposeless man who tried his hand at stand-up comedy too and failed miserably. He wanted to be a performer, he failed miserably. One day he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. He had about 4 months to live, and it was one of those things of the thyroid something. It was one of those cancers which has absolutely found no cure. And he had this thought. He went to Switzerland and signed up in that thing called, what's that called? The place. No. It's an institute. It's an institute which you can sign in, and they'll give you a little liquid, depending on your condition, whatever, and you can swallow it. In 3 minutes you go to sleep and you're dead. So it's an institute. You can just sign into that stuff, depending on your condition, along with your doctors. So he decided to go there. And the film is all about, that's all in the first 3 minutes. The film is all about, he asked his friend Sonali to film his death and his last 14 days. So she's with a camera, her very good friend, battling her emotions as a filmmaker, forced to film this guy's death. And what a film. It's like a riveting thriller. It's the first time in my life I bought a popcorn. I didn't know what the film was about, so I bought popcorn. I went into the theatre and I started eating it. 10 minutes I stopped, and I must have popped 1 or 2. By the end of the film, it's the first time ever that my popcorn tub was almost full, and I just left it there, and I got up and I hugged Sonali, because it's a film it is riveting. It's like a thriller, because you've bought into the fact that, okay, lovely, emotion is fine, you've got your best friend to kind of come and film your death. What if he has a change of heart? He also says that I may have a change of heart. And you're allowed to. Most people, 80% of people who sign in that stuff don't finally take that liquid. So you as a viewer are saying, hey, don't chicken out. Don't chicken out now. I want to see you die. I want to see. And there is the filmmaker, there is the family, whoever is outside the camera. And I am the audience, and I'm saying, hey, Chika, not die, please. See, look at the power of cinema. It's magic. Forget all social other things. It's magic of cinema. And this dying man understood it. So what he did, it's almost like you take it to the climax and say, no, I'm not doing this today. I'll do it after 14 days. Everybody is very frustrated and everything. He took 14 days to mug up a poem by Robert Frost. He took 14 days to mug up a poem, and he finally decided the day, and he had that liquid. I mean, you have first a liquid which makes sure you don't puke, and you just wait for half an hour, and then you have the other liquid. Done in 3 days. Done in 3 minutes, you're asleep. In that last 20 minutes, he sits on the sofa after having the first liquid, and he narrates this whole Robert Frost poem. And he finally performed his life's ambition that he could not do throughout his life. He was a failed performer. He tried his hand at comedy, he tried his hand at anything else. And just before death, he actually performed. And he died. And I clapped. So like many people in our world, we all say we'll give our life for cinema. He actually gave his life to perform. He actually gave his life for great cinema. I have never seen anything like that. I would advise all of you to kind of just watch that, to kind of just feel what it is that we need to kind of do for cinema today, other than watching it. I think we all need to kind of figure out, there is a conscience, like equal to climate control. I believe the problem is as much as that. The world is dying. The weather is changing. Cinema is dying. we have to change it. The two weathers, the two climates out there. And I think we in the world, we here, yeah, we can kind of switch off the taps. We can do less plastic. We can do those little contributions to the world. But I think we have a much bigger contribution towards cinema than towards sustaining cinema than what we've thought we've had so far. Thank you. Now I'd like to